Sorry, guys. The more I talk, the harder it gets, the more I have to clear, the more tired my voice and face gets. And like I said, yesterday was a pretty hard day, so stressed. Anyway, so, we think there might be problems because it takes JD a little longer than we thought to appear. However, during this period, I was pretty alert because, like I said, PTSD, hypervigilance, had it all, still do. However, not to the same degree. I have realized now that those were things that were extremely magnified for me, and I thought for other reasons until our escape not long ago. So, anyway, so every noise, everything was kind of bringing me out. To look at, to make sure of, vehicles, cars, checking on things, survey lines, for weeks, waiting on JD, who I didn't know at the time because obviously had no name, no way of getting, know anything until the transfer happened, or until somebody showed up. So, like I said, there was still lots of traffic coming and going, people hoping it hadn't closed, or that it wouldn't, or there would be pullouts, or, that sort of thing. My PTSD and hypervigilance had been pushed into overdrive. And so I was paying more attention to the traffic and things, and honestly, before we get to JD, I think there's something, because I've seen it mentioned in the groups before, but it doesn't seem to be widespread, and I don't know, or I'm not sure why it's not mentioned more. But for several weeks leading up to, and even after summer had vanished, there were 2 crews working on a road. Tree and mow crew and that sort of thing. But for a couple of weeks, they had kind of solely been on Candace and Donnie's property, just grinding it down, like I have never, ever seen before in my life. Trees, tree stands, buildings, fences, fence posts, down to the nub. It was pretty wild. And I didn't realize how bad it was until the day we were searching for Summer. And how, it was, I'd never seen anything ground down like that. So it was like, what? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they had spent quite a while just working on Candace and Donnie's. And being over there on that piece. Yeah. And so they were in there for several weeks leading up to Summer's disappearance. And it wasn't just like a couple guys. This was dozens and dozens and dozens. It was personal vehicles, it was work equipment, it was chainsaws all day. They would cut out and the noise would stop around 3 p.m. every day. But it had all of our dogs kind of worn out, and just overwhelmed between the traffic for the property sale and strange people, and, then all this massive amount of heavy equipment noise. It had just, everybody's dogs were tired of it. However, Candace's puppies and dogs are partially part of, my dog is partly their dad. But these dogs do bark, like we've all said. They know us. they see us. I can go to the bottom of the driveway, and they would be like, la 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 la. They could hear me come out of the cabin just a couple of feet and light up. Like, and they know us, but they still, I mean, they have a problem with the barking. And then there's one, I had a particular name for her because, Lord, his particular bark. But anyway, and we were around these dogs, and they would still light up. They knew our noises, and it was still a constant. And they were less wore out than our dogs, so they were still barking. They were still kind of themselves. Either way, so for several weeks, these crews were in there. There were things I found, a little odd. I mean, I've worked construction, I've worked all kinds of jobs, and as a female, you kind of know how life is, right? No biggie, you know how it is. We all kind of just... But there were several points where I was asked to stop and talk to these guys on my to appointments and things, and let them know that if they had to cut timber when they got to this piece, that it was to be left laying, not to be cut, not to be taken, because there was already issues at that point with that stuff happening, and people were taking exception, especially with the price of lumber. And so I had some things happen there to where, like, I had one of the radiation scans, and I was just wearing like a top like this and some stretch leggings and like a sports bra. That way I didn't have to be in like a gown and more uncomfortable, because for that particular scan you were literally tied together like a turkey. It's not comfortable. So I was going out. I happened to catch, what looked like supervisors and things early in the morning. Told them that, but I had a couple pins accidentally dropped several times in a row into a spot to where I'd have to lean over and get them. And the entire car was surrounded in ways that made me super uncomfortable, even though I'm not really the type to be uncomfortable around. So, that was happening for several weeks, like I said, on mostly and solely just Candace and Donnie's property. I mean, we were all like, man, it is taking forever over there. But they literally did some of the clear cut over there and straight to the main road is one of the most, I don't know, things I've ever seen. So, then comes, and at this point, the foliage, I want you to keep in mind, is not thick as what everybody saw on TV yet, and it really wasn't like that until just a day or two, even before summer vanished. It wasn't, I mean, I could still walk through the woods and see, and I could come out on the bank and visualize and see all the lines. I could still see Candace's house. And as the days after JD shows up, and then summer vanishes, and the searches, and it's starting, it had a couple rains there, and everything right before all that, so it just, it immediately looked like it had been like that. And so noise carried differently, things changed. It did make the searches harder. It was out of control within days of summer vanishing. So it went from being able to step between trees and stuff just fine, and being able to visually lay eyes on something, to no longer having a line of sight because of how much the growth had exploded within just a very short time frame. So I'll get to JD.